Hey everyone. Today I want to share an amazing experience that happened to Lennox Leister, who used to be a police officer. After facing a near-death event, he came back with an astonishing insight about prayer that might just blow your mind. But before we dive into this incredible tale, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and tap that bell for notifications so you're always updated. Now let's embark on this transformative journey. So, here I am, Lennox Leister, and honestly, I never thought I'd find myself recounting such a profound story. A few years back, if you had told me I'd encounter something that would completely reshape my view on life, I might have chuckled at the idea. Just think about it. What could possibly catch the attention of a former military police officer who believed he had seen it all? I spent countless years in intense war zones, confronting the darkest sides of humanity. The things I witnessed are certainly not for the faint of heart, and I made decisions that no person should ever need to make. Those experiences weighed heavily on me for a long time. I convinced myself I had weathered every storm life could present. I thought I was strong, physically and mentally tough. Challenges? Bring them on. I was ready. But life, in its own unpredictable way, had other plans. The true test unfolded not on any battlefield, but in a hospital miles away from any conflict I had ever known. There, lying in a hospital bed, I encountered the toughest challenge of my life. It all kicked off with what I thought was just regular fatigue. I brushed it off at first. Who doesn't get tired sometimes, right? Yet this tiredness morphed into something far more serious, something that none of my military training could have prepared me for. I was diagnosed with a rare autoimmune condition that began to assault my heart. Before I knew it, I was anchored to that hospital bed, battling not visible foes, but my own body. It was a silent war, yet it was just as fierce as any fight I had faced before. And that's where my path toward understanding what it truly means to live and pray began. It's a journey that pushed me to the very edges of existence and back, completely shifting my perception of life, death, and everything that exists in that space in between. What I'm about to share next is something I'm still grappling with to this day. Imagine a night that seemed just like any other, yet it held the potential for something extraordinary. I found myself in the hospital, where I had spent weeks battling an illness that only appeared to strengthen its grip. Despite the doctor's efforts, I could tell from their worried expressions that they were running out of options. That evening, something shifted inside me, a sense deep within that hinted at impending change. The exhaustion I had been carrying felt like it reached a breaking point. Just breathing was a struggle. Then, out of nowhere, a fierce pain shot through my chest. It was as if an iron hand clutched my heart, forcing a gasp from my lips. Everything around me started to dissolve into a blur, colors swirling in a dizzying haze. In the background, alarms beeped and nurses rushed, their voices frantic yet distant, as though they were on the other side of a thick barrier. My eyelids grew heavy, making it hard to keep them open. At that moment, something deeply haunting and beautiful occurred. While my physical self fought for survival, I felt an odd release, as if part of me was breaking free. The experience was surreal. Suddenly, I found myself hovering over my own body. I looked down and saw myself lying there, still, surrounded by team members working tirelessly. It was like viewing a scene from an unfamiliar film where I was merely a spectator. And what surprised me most was the absence of fear. Instead, a profound sense of tranquility enveloped me, allowing me to observe with a curious detachment. I could see the defibrillator in action, doctors straining to revive my heart while worry etched their faces, beads of sweat forming as they fought to bring life back. Yet, I felt a strange disconnect. As I floated there, a realization dawned. This was more than just my physical body failing. A transformation was on the horizon, encompassing far more than I could initially comprehend. Suddenly, I sensed an invisible force tugging at me, not something you could touch or see, but a profound pull, almost like the universe itself was beckoning me. I had no option but to surrender to it. With ease, I let this powerful energy sweep me away. As I floated, the hospital room faded from view along with my body and the doctors around me. Everything dissolved into a thick, consuming darkness, an overwhelming void that engulfed all sense of reality. In that instant, I realized I had entered a different realm. He wasn't among the living anymore, yet he hadn't fully arrived at any final destination either. I found myself in a liminal space, a zone where the familiar rules of existence didn't seem to apply. It was there, in the depths of that emptiness, that my true journey commenced. A journey that prompted me to face not only my own mortality, but the very essence of my being. This darkness was otherworldly, unlike anything I'd encountered before. It wasn't just a lack of light, it felt like an absence of everything. There were no sounds, no sensations, just pure, profound nothingness. At first, I felt a wave of confusion. Was I moving? Was I still? Did I even have a body anymore, or was I just a stream of consciousness? Time simply ceased to exist there. Moments could have stretched into eons for all I knew. As I acclimated to this vast emptiness, a new awareness crept in, an instinctive feeling rather than a visual or auditory cue. Something essential felt absent, something intangible that I couldn't physically grasp, yet I sensed it was there. That's when it dawned on me. It was the absence of the divine presence that was hauntingly missing. The realization struck me like a thunderbolt. I had never considered myself particularly religious, yet in that moment I found myself yearning for that connection to God. It was as if something inside me shattered. All the defenses I had erected over the years crumbled. I suddenly felt exposed and vulnerable, a sensation I hadn't embraced in a long time. In that state of raw openness, I did what I hadn't done in ages. I prayed. It wasn't some grand or formal proclamation. It was more of a silent plea from my soul, a heartfelt cry for connection and understanding. As if my yearning had summoned a response, I noticed a flicker of light breaking through the enveloping darkness. It was a tiny point, distant and faint, but something in me stirred at its presence. Initially, I wondered if it was just a figment of my imagination. Yet that light kept shining, steadily growing in size and warmth. It wasn't harsh or blinding, more like a gentle glow, inviting and comforting. An irresistible energy flowed from it, drawing me in. Before I knew it, I found myself moving toward this extraordinary light. The void surrounding me faded, and with each step I felt a deep yearning. It felt as if the light was calling me to something profoundly beautiful. As I drew closer, the radiance enveloped my entire vision. Instead of emptiness, there was now a brilliance that wrapped me in warmth, a warmth unlike anything I had known before. That's when everything changed for me. I realized that prayer wasn't merely about speaking words or reciting phrases. It was about forming a genuine connection, a complete surrender to something greater than myself. In that moment, I grasped that every act of kindness, every loving gesture, is a kind of prayer in its own right. Soon, I was completely surrounded by this light. It felt like I was being held by an entity far greater than my own existence. A wave of pure, unconditional love washed over me, prompting tears to flow, not from sadness but from an overwhelming joy that I could hardly articulate. In this luminous embrace, I sensed that all the broken fragments within me were being mended. Old wounds, some I didn't even realize I had, were beginning to heal. For the first time, I truly felt at home. Within that extraordinary radiance, a message came to me, loud and clear. Lennox, approach each day as if it were a prayer. It's not about the words you say, but the love you demonstrate through your actions. Sharing love with the world is the truest form of prayer. This insight struck a chord deep within my soul, fundamentally altering my perspective on life and my role in it. Amidst that radiant aura, I sensed a profound presence. It wasn't something I could see or hear in the conventional way. Rather, it transcended the ordinary senses. It felt as though the very essence of reality was unfolding, exposing something magnificent. In that instant, a certainty filled me, beyond any doubt, that I was in the presence of the divine. It wasn't the image of God that I'd conjured in fleeting thoughts of religion, but a being of unfathomable love and depth, far beyond any human understanding. My communication here didn't rely on words. It was an immediate exchange of awareness, a connection that surpassed language altogether. Every word felt like a vast universe, and each sentence conveyed a lifetime's worth of understanding. The love that filled the air was something I had never experienced before. It wrapped around me, making me feel both insignificant and part of something immense. It was as if I were merely a small stream flowing into a boundless ocean of divine love. In that rich community, I gained deep insights about our existence. I realized the universe wasn't just a soulless machine. Instead, it was a vibrant living entity, teeming with consciousness and purpose. Every tiny particle, every atom, was infused with divine affection, all woven into a grand design that our human minds struggled to grasp. Life didn't seem like a random series of events to me anymore. I began to see it as a beautifully arranged journey for the growth and evolution of each soul. Each joy, every challenge, and all the pain were merely stepping stones for learning and expanding our understanding. I also discovered that our free will is genuinely important. While divine presence doesn't dictate our choices, it is always there, ready to guide and shower us with unconditional love, no matter how we act. One of the biggest revelations hit me like a wave. Everything is interconnected. We share bonds not just with each other, but with all of creation. Every thought and action sends ripples through the universe's fabric, influencing everything in ways we may never fully comprehend. In that sacred communion, time seemed to fade. I couldn't tell if moments stretched into eternity or flew by in an instant. Every second was brimming with a profound understanding that far surpassed earthly knowledge. As I took in these cosmic ideas, a deep gratitude surged within me, almost radiating from every fiber of my being. I felt immense thankfulness for life itself, for my existence, and for every experience leading me to that moment. At that point, a powerful longing stirred within me, a deep desire to see Jesus. This wasn't just an intellectual curiosity. It was a longing straight from my soul, a call rising from the very depths of my being. And as soon as I admitted that yearning, the divine energy surrounding me felt like it intensified, seemingly preparing me for an encounter that would transform my understanding of love, sacrifice, and divine purpose forever. Imagine a moment when everything around me seemed to shift, all to respond to a silent wish. Suddenly there he was, Jesus. His presence felt unlike anything I could even describe. An intense light radiated around him, but instead of blinding me, it brought clarity. I found myself seeing him with a depth that transcended mere sight. His face exuded a calm wisdom that felt very real, almost as if each line told a story. Those eyes of his, they held a universe of knowledge. Yet, what struck me most was the love that poured from him. It was a love so genuine and unconditional that enveloped me like a warm blanket, making me feel truly accepted for the first time. I desperately tried to hold on to every detail of his face, to etch that moment into my memory. Yet, oddly enough, each attempt to memorize him slipped away, as if his very essence was beyond what I could grasp. No matter how I tried, his image eluded me, but I could undeniably feel his presence, intense and profound. He didn't speak as we do. He communicated in a way that reached straight to my heart. With a simple motion, he began guiding me to reflect on my life, as if we were watching a film together. However, this wasn't an ordinary movie. I felt every joy and sorrow in vivid detail. Surprisingly, it wasn't my triumphs or mistakes that lingered in my mind. What hit me the hardest were those moments I thought justified my actions against others. Each time I believed I was right in causing someone else pain, an overwhelming ache surged within me. I felt the impact of my choices in a way that unveiled the truth. I had caused harm while wrapped in the belief of righteousness. This realization struck deep. I came to see that the true burden lay not just in what I did, but in how I rationalized my hurtful actions. I recognized how I had often wielded my influence or perceived moral high ground to inflict pain, all while assuring myself it was warranted. Yet, what was remarkable was the way Jesus revealed these truths, not with judgment or scorn. His expression brimmed with compassion and understanding, as if he was inviting me to learn and reflect. And learn I did. I discovered that every person I had hurt held just as much worth in God's eyes as I did. I discovered that real strength lies not in overpowering others, but in embracing them with unconditional love. During this profound life review, Lennox Leicester imparted 3 vital lessons that etched themselves deeply into my spirit. First, he taught me the essence of living prayer. It dawned on me that prayer isn't merely about speaking, it's about how we live our lives. Each kind deed, every loving act serves as a prayer. Our actions truly reflect our bond with the divine. The second insight centered around finding joy in suffering. Lennox helped me grasp that suffering isn't a form of punishment. Rather, it's an opportunity to express love and generosity, even when life gets tough. He showed me that facing challenges can be achieved without bitterness, turning hardship into a pathway for growth and empathy. Finally, the last lesson focused on sharing God's love. I realized that my life's mission became crystal clear: to be a vessel of divine love for those around me. This was my true calling, and the reason I was destined to return. As I absorbed these teachings, a significant transformation unfolded within me. It felt as though every part of my being was recalibrated, aligning with a newfound purpose. Taking one last look at Lennox, I was overwhelmed with a gratitude beyond words. His smile radiated a warmth that encompassed all the love in existence, signaling that it was time for me to go back. However, a hint of resistance arose within me. A part of me longed to remain in that realm of eternal love and peace. Yet another part recognized my true purpose and understood that there was still work awaiting me on earth. Lennox, with his compassionate gaze, communicated that my journey on this planet wasn't finished. There were individuals to uplift, love to spread, and lessons to impart. Transformed by this enlightening experience, I realized it was now my responsibility to relay this transformation to the world. As I began to move away from his presence, a gentle force began to draw me back. It felt peculiar, much like swimming against a subtle current that was mysteriously guiding me forward. As I took my leave, the brilliant light enveloping me slowly began to fade, not abruptly but gradually, reminiscent of a summer sunset. Little by little, shadows crept back in, but this time, they held a sense of comfort rather than fear. The journey back felt like moving through a tunnel, guiding me toward the life I once knew. As I traversed this passage, memories from my past rushed before me, each moment flashing like a movie reel. However, this time, my perspective had shifted. Each decision, every encounter, unfolded with a richness that hadn't been apparent before. I reflected on my childhood and my time in uniform, experiencing the blend of happiness and sorrow all over again. The faces of those I had cherished and those I had wronged flickered in my mind. Rather than feeling ashamed, a sense of deep empathy welled up for that Lennox from years ago. He lacked awareness of how his actions impacted others. As I neared the exit of the tunnel, faint sounds started to emerge. I could hear the rhythmic beeping of hospital equipment and the hushed conversations between medical staff. Reality was closing in, pulling me back to the here and now. Suddenly, my gaze fell on my own body, still at rest on a hospital bed. It was eerie, almost like I was viewing a familiar stranger. For a moment, doubt crept in. Returning meant grappling with physical agony, the restrictions of the body, and the hurdles of daily existence. But then, clarity washed over me. I recalled the wisdom I had gained and the sense of purpose I now held. With renewed resolve, I made my way back to my physical self. The instant I re-entered my body was electrifying. It felt as though every nerve ending was backfiring to life after a long slumber. A searing pain shot through my chest, reminiscent of the condition that had nearly taken me away. Slowly, I blinked my eyes open, squinting against the harsh fluorescent lights overhead. The sounds around me sharpened, the continuous beeping of heart monitors, the chatter of astonished voices, and a nearby sigh of relief brightened the air. When I attempted to speak, my throat protested. It felt parched and sore from the breathing tube. A nurse hurried toward me, her face lighting up with disbelief and joy. "He's back!" she exclaimed to someone just out of my sight. In the moments that followed, a flurry of medical professionals surrounded me, all eager to check my vitals and probe me with questions, their astonishment palpable as they witnessed my unexpected revival. But my mind was elsewhere, overflowing with reflections on the experiences I had just traversed and the lessons they had imparted. I was back in my body, yes, but it was as if I had transformed. The man who had departed was no longer the same. I had been reshaped by a profound love and a mission that transcended anything I'd ever envisioned. In the weeks to come, I embarked on a challenging journey of recalibration, not just physically, but profoundly on a spiritual and emotional level. Though my body felt frail, still grappling with the lingering effects of an illness that nearly defeated me, my spirit was on fire. I had found a connection to something profound, something that no physical hardship could diminish. The doctors were taken aback by how quickly I seemed to recover, They tossed around phrases like miraculous recovery and spontaneous remission. But deep down, I understood that my healing went far beyond what they could explain scientifically. I didn't attempt to articulate my experience to them. How could I possibly capture such a deep, transcendent truth with mere words? Instead, gratitude washed over me as I thanked them genuinely, recognizing a glimmer of divine love reflected in each of their faces. As my strength gradually came back, I started perceiving the world through a new lens. The things that had once frustrated me, like the blaring horns of traffic, the slow pace of those around me, and the tiny annoyances of daily life, began to fade into the background. Instead of feeling irked, I found myself filled with compassion for others, realizing that everyone was navigating their own unseen battles. My outlook on life and death shifted dramatically. Where I once saw death as something to dread, it now appeared to me as merely a transition, a doorway to something more significant. This realization didn't diminish my appreciation for life. On the contrary, every single moment transformed into a cherished opportunity to embrace the love I had tasted in the afterlife. The things that used to drive my ambitions, career goals, social status, material gain, suddenly felt hollow and inconsequential compared to the discovery of what truly matters: love, service, and being a vessel of divine compassion in the world around me. I began to notice chances to express kindness everywhere I looked. Offering a warm smile to a random passerby, lending a hand to someone having a tough day, or just sharing a few kind words became my routine. These small gestures turned into my daily prayers, ways to embody the lessons I had been shown. My relationships have also undergone a significant transformation. I took the initiative to reach out to those I had wronged, genuinely asking for their forgiveness. Old friendships that had drifted apart became focal points again, as I sought to reconnect. Each encounter transformed into a chance to spread love, not with heavy-handed preaching, but through simple acts of kindness and a gentle, compassionate presence. In the midst of my hectic life, nature was something I hardly paid any attention to, but now it overwhelms me with its beauty. Each tree, every flower, and all those breathtaking sunsets feel like pure miracles. It's as if they're a reflection of a deep, divine love that exists all around us. I've started taking time to simply exist in nature, and in doing so, I feel deeply connected to everything that surrounds me. My views on spirituality have undergone a dramatic shift as well. I didn't suddenly become religious in the traditional sense, clinging to a conventional set of beliefs or practices. Instead, I found a more personal form of spirituality rooted in my own experiences. Now praying feels as automatic as breathing. It's not a stiff ritual, but rather an ongoing dialogue with the divine, expressed through my thoughts, actions, and intentions. However, embracing this new outlook didn't mean life became without its hurdles. The physical pain I still experienced was a constant reminder of just how fragile our human bodies can be. Some people couldn't wrap their heads around my rapid transformation, leading to misunderstandings. There were definitely moments of doubt when the intensity of my experience threatened to fade amidst the daily grind. Yet, during those tough times, the memory of that profound love kept me afloat. Every challenge I faced became a chance to practice the lessons I had come to understand, choosing love and compassion, even when it felt tough. Gradually, I began to cultivate a life that felt like an ongoing prayer, a continuous expression of the divine love flowing through me and into the world. Over time, I felt this powerful urge to share my journey with others. It wasn't about seeking the spotlight or craving recognition. It was a heartfelt desire to communicate the message of love and purpose I had received. Initially, I opened up to close friends and family. Their responses were a mixed bag. Some were fascinated, others skeptical, and a few felt excited, while some struggled to grasp the depth of what I had experienced. Bit by bit, I found my audience growing. Invitations started coming in for me to speak at small gatherings, local churches, and community centers. Each time I shared my story, there was a sense of fulfillment, as though I was tapping into a part of a greater purpose. Finding the right words to describe something so profound and otherworldly was not an easy task. I often found myself finding the right way to express the depth and beauty of my experiences often felt overwhelming. But then it struck me. It wasn't just what I said that impacted others, but the transformation within me, the newfound peace, love, and compassion that seemed to radiate from my very being. As word of my journey began to circulate, invitations came pouring in for me to share my story on bigger platforms and with diverse audiences. I found myself talking to healthcare workers, aiming to offer a fresh outlook on life and death. I also had the privilege of addressing support groups filled with individuals grappling with terminal illnesses, giving them a glimmer of hope and a new way to view their transition. One of the highlights of this adventure was chatting with fellow veterans and security professionals. I found common ground with many, explaining how my experiences reshaped my understanding of what true strength, courage, and purpose really mean. Through their responses, I realized that my journey echoed with different meanings for different people. For some, my narrative affirmed their spiritual beliefs. Others encountered a prod to reevaluate how they viewed life and death, and many simply found a story of hope and transformation within my words. Of course, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. I encountered skepticism and even outright hostility. Some dismissed my experiences as mere hallucinations or inventions. Certain scientific communities attributed my story to neurological phenomena during near-death experiences. But over time, I learned not to take these reactions to heart. I recognize that everyone is on their own unique path. My role wasn't to persuade anyone, but to share my truth, plant ideas, and let others carve out their own understanding. Respecting every individual's journey became a crucial lesson for me. I realized that I shouldn't try to impose my beliefs or experiences on someone else. Instead, I learned to present my story as a gift, allowing people the freedom to accept or reject it based on their readiness and perspectives. Gradually, I turned to writing to further explore my experiences. What began as a personal diary for sorting through my thoughts evolved into a full-fledged book. The writing process wasn't easy. It was both challenging and profoundly healing. Each word compelled me to revisit past emotions, providing a deeper understanding along the way. Lennox Leicester's journey took unexpected turns, and with every twist and turn, my understanding deepened and reinforced the lessons I had absorbed. When my book hit the shelves, it reached audiences far and wide, much more than I ever thought possible. I was overwhelmed with letters and emails from people across the globe, sharing how my tale had resonated with them. Many expressed how it brought them hope during tough times or stirred them towards meaningful changes in their lives. What stood out to me was how my experience seemed to cross the boundaries of religion and culture effortlessly. I found myself receiving heartfelt messages from people of various backgrounds: Christians, Jews, Muslims, atheists, and even Buddhists. Each found something valuable in what I shared, showing me firsthand that the love I felt while going through my ordeal was universal, not limited by any single belief or dogma. As I opened up and narrated my story, I noticed a transformational journey unfolding within me. Each sharing, every conversation sparked by my words helped solidify the lessons I'd learned. It felt almost like I was reinforcing my devotion to the purpose I had stumbled upon. I also discovered just how vital authenticity and vulnerability were in these moments. I didn't shy away from discussing my fears, my vulnerabilities, or the hurdles I still faced. In doing so, my narrative became more relatable, more grounded. I wasn't just portraying a figure with all the solutions. I was simply a fellow traveler on a path of continuous learning and self-discovery. One particularly eye-opening moment came when I started getting invitations to connect with folks facing their own brushes with death or grappling with terminal illnesses. To be able to provide them comfort and a fresh outlook on life felt incredibly fulfilling. It was as if I was truly aligning with my purpose. Soon, the effects of my story began to ripple outward. I noticed friends and family reconsidering their lives, searching for deeper meaning and affection in their daily existence. Even coworkers started handling disputes with more kindness and empathy. It struck me that the influence of my experience had grown far beyond my own journey. By sharing my narrative, I was inadvertently sparking change, creating ripples that manifested in ways I couldn't fully grasp. But what resonated the most throughout this entire journey was the persistent reminder of the love and connections I had experienced. That, after all, was the essence of it all. Every time I shared my story, I noticed the spark in people's eyes when they grasped the hope and understanding behind it. That's when I felt that magical sense of love wash over me again. It transformed my sharing into something more than just a task. It became like a prayer, a way to keep the incredible moments that changed my life alive and vibrant. Although I underwent a remarkable shift and found a profound sense of peace, adapting to life post-near-death experience came with its own set of hurdles. Surprisingly, those struggles often felt more intense, despite my newfound ability to manage them. One of the toughest parts was grappling with what others expected of me. Some folks seemed to believe I had become a sort of miracle worker, free from flaws and capable of perfect happiness. When I showed even the slightest hint of frustration, exhaustion, or any bad emotion, it left some people feeling perplexed or let down. I realized I needed to reconcile the beauty of my transcendental journey with the simple reality of daily life. Sure, I'd had a remarkable experience, but at the end of the day, I was still just a human being, figuring things out like everyone else. Learning to be gentle with myself during those tough moments was crucial, especially when I couldn't meet the expectations set by others or even by myself. Another hurdle was a sense of loneliness that crept in with my new perspective. Even though I felt a stronger connection to the divine and to humanity overall, there were times when I felt extremely isolated in my own experiences. Very few could truly relate to what I had gone through, which sometimes created a gap between me and those I cared about, even the ones closest to me. It meant I had to really work at fostering connections that felt authentic for both me and others, finding ways to share my experience without watering down its essence. This journey required me to be patient and compassionate, always striving to see beyond the surface and connect with the divine spark within each individual. Then there were my physical health struggles. While I had survived the life-threatening ordeal, my body still echoed the traumatic experience. Navigating physical limitations and occasional chronic pain became a daily lesson in acceptance, pushing me to find ways to live fully despite these challenges. Additionally, my relationship with material things has changed dramatically, presenting its own set of issues to navigate. Reflecting on the twists and turns of my journey since that pivotal night, I'm filled with deep appreciation. The things I once chased, status, wealth, and accolades, now feel so trivial. They seemed significant at the time, but my experiences have shown me a different path. It's all about finding balance, isn't it? Balancing the world around us with the deeper truths we uncover. Adapting to this new awareness proved to be quite a challenge too. Some days, the sense of divine love and the feeling that everything is interconnected was almost too much to handle. In those intense moments, fitting into the everyday hustle felt nearly impossible. Integrating this newfound consciousness into my routine became essential. I had to figure out how to keep one foot grounded in the ordinary while allowing the other to dance in the extraordinary. Through all these ups and downs, I began to see these struggles not as setbacks, but as chances for growth. Every bump in the road and every wave of uncertainty were opportunities to practice what I had learned, choosing love and compassion, even when it was tough. I established daily rituals that helped me stay aligned with the profound experiences I had been through. Things like meditation, walking in nature, and taking time for prayer became my sanctuaries, grounding me as I navigated daily life without losing sight of my renewed purpose. One major takeaway from this journey has been the significance of balance, finding that sweet spot between the spiritual side of life and the everyday grind. It's about giving and receiving, accepting things as they come while also striving for change. True wisdom, I found, lies not in rejecting any part of the human experience, but in embracing it all, and doing so with love and awareness. I also came to understand that growth is a lifelong journey. Each new day presents us with lessons and opportunities to deepen our understanding and connect more fully to the love I've felt. Rather than viewing my near-death experience as a conclusion, I recognize it as the start of an ongoing adventure filled with discovery and transformation. So here I am, day by day, navigating challenges while celebrating my wins, committed to living my life as an expression of that divine love I've grown to understand. And with each reflection, I'm reminded of how grateful I am for life itself and for this incredible chance to have experienced all that I have. I've had an incredible experience that felt so profound, and I cherish the chance to share it with others. Since that day, my path has been filled with ongoing exploration and moments of rediscovery. Every single day offers something new, whether it's a lesson to embrace or a chance to channel the divine love I've felt. Sure, it's not always smooth sailing. There are times when the hurdles seem overwhelming and thoughts of that experience fade into the background. Yet during those tough times, I find solace in taking a deep breath. Each breath feels like a prayer, and every little action becomes a moment to show love. One vital insight that struck me is how spirituality blends into our daily lives. It's not just reserved for quiet meditation or moments of formal prayer. No, it's truly a style of living, a way of engaging with the world around us. Every interaction, each choice, and every fleeting moment is a chance to embrace our truest selves. I discovered that love, especially that unconditional love I encountered, is not some distant idea. It's a real force that can change lives in profound ways. I've witnessed it, not only in my own life, but in the journeys of numerous others impacted by my story. I've seen hope emerge from despair, bravery awaken in fear, and a sense of purpose fill the void where once there was none. Reflecting on the essence of reality has been one of my deepest musings. My experience opened my eyes to the fact that existence holds layers beyond what meets the eye. There's so much more than our daily perception. Rather than making earthly life seem less significant, this realization amplifies its value. Each moment is a distinct chance to grow, to love, and to create change. Additionally, my understanding of death transformed entirely. What once filled me with dread has now shifted into a perspective of transition, a passage to something more significant. This doesn't lessen our appreciation for life. If anything, it deepens it. Knowing that each experience is unique and fleeting makes each moment all the more special. Looking back on my journey, I recognize that every hurdle, every moment of doubt, and every struggle was an opportunity to expand. The physical challenges I faced taught me acceptance and patience. The misunderstandings from others helped cultivate my compassion and empathy. Even the doubts that popped up now and then guided me toward a more grounded and sincere faith. Reflecting on the way everything connects has been incredibly powerful for me. It's become clear that we aren't isolated from one another or from something greater. Instead, each of us is woven into a larger tapestry that often defies our comprehension. Understanding this interconnectedness brings a sense of duty. It's essential to embrace every person and creature around us with kindness and respect. As for the road ahead, I carry a blend of humility and a sense of purpose. There's so much more to explore and learn, which keeps me grounded. At the same time, I recognize that each morning brings a fresh chance to embody the love I've encountered and to be a vessel for that love in the world. The future remains a mystery. I can't say how many days I'll have left, but I wholeheartedly believe that each day holds an invaluable gift, a chance to impact those around us, to share love, and to truly experience life. For anyone taking a moment to read my journey, here's the essence of what I want to convey. Love is undeniably real. It stands as the most formidable force in existence. And guess what? It's accessible to everyone, anytime. You don't need to face a life-threatening situation to feel its presence. It's right here, right now, waiting for us to acknowledge and embrace it. My adventure isn't done yet. Each day brings new lessons, chances to grow, and ways to love. With every breath I take and heartbeat I feel, I am committed to passing on this vital message. Approach each day as a blessing, love without conditions, and allow the divine to flow through you. I truly believe that this is where the essence of our lives is found. So I won't wrap up my story with a definitive end. Instead, I choose to pause, knowing that the adventure goes on, love remains steadfast, and life continually unveils its wonders and teachings. If this heartfelt spiritual journey resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up, share your thoughts in the comments, subscribe for more, and turn on the notifications so you won't miss out on the next video. Let's share this message with even more people. Until next time,